Hello everyone and welcome to a new show on my channel. Welcome to the Zombie Movie Review Show, a show in which I review all kinds of weird, wonderful and sometimes terrible zombie movies. In this opening episode I'm going to be talking about the 2019 South Korean zombie comedy movie Zombie for Sale, a movie which I surprisingly really enjoyed. This video will contain spoilers from the movie, so please do keep that in mind. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. I've been on a bit of a South Korean TV show binge lately. I recently finished Kingdom on Netflix, which is absolutely fantastic by the way, you really should watch it. And I'm also currently making my way through The Silent Sea, which I'm also enjoying. So when I saw Zombie for Sale pop up on Amazon, I immediately added it to my basket and had a zombie delivered to my door straight away. Hello?
Amazon delivery.
Alright, yeah, come up. Oh shit! Ah! Okay, what actually happened is that I was browsing Amazon for zombie movies and then I came across this weird South Korean zombie comedy movie and I thought to myself, you know what, I've got to watch this, I've got to give this movie a go. Zombie for Sale begins with a scene set at nighttime outside this abandoned medical research facility. We then get this radio message play in which a lady says that patients who've been taking this new trial diabetes drug have been overcome by mysterious symptoms, which is obviously referring to them turning into zombies. A zombie who the protagonist later renamed John B then rises from a container in the yard of the medical facility, and I apologise immediately because I'm going to butcher the South Korean pronunciations in this video. We then jump to a scene of this couple driving through the woods at night time and their car gets a puncture and it crashes, at which point this dude who is waiting around the corner on his tow truck picks the car up and takes it to his garage and then tries to charge them for repairs. It's obvious that this is a setup, it's obvious that this is a con because why would this guy be waiting around the corner, for the chance that someone would crash their car? So it's obvious that he put something in the road and that he does this on purpose to get money from fixing people's cars. The couple who own the car are initially reluctant to pay the extortionate fee for the repairs. That is until Hagel, who is another member of the family, enters the scene and she comes out of this building next to the garage and she comes out holding a shovel and like a bag which looks like it could be full of body parts or some dead animal or something in there. What happens next is that Jong-gu says to her, "Oh, quickly bury it and don't tell the neighbours or do it without them noticing." And I think he says something like, "Oh, did you have to kill it again?" or something. And what happens next is that the family then pay up the fee, they pay up the repair cost, because at this point they're thinking to themselves, oh my god, have we encountered a family of psychopaths? So they pay up and then they leave. But obviously this was part of the con, because if the con isn't going well, what the family do is they bring Hagel out with a shovel, in a bag, and it scares people into paying, which is pretty clever. The family of con artists then become the protagonists for the rest of the movie. And yeah, okay, I mean, you could say it's a dick move in conning people. I obviously don't like con artists because my job, I work in fraud normally, so I don't approve of people conning people, but from the first 5 minutes of this movie, these characters are going to be interesting. I was already invested, I was already thinking, yes, I can get behind this idea of following a con artist family. I like this idea, I'm down with it, and I liked it. I liked the setup for the movie. So whilst the family are conning people, the zombie Jong-bi is busy causing havoc, and it's not long before he runs into the family and he first encounters Hagel, and yeah, this is their encounter. Yeah, so this movie is full of silly slapstick humour, which might not be to everyone's taste, but it made me laugh. I like this kind of humour. I mean, it was unexpected, you've got this zombie charging at this girl and she doesn't even flinch, instead she just kicks him in the balls, and I thought it was funny. I mean, my favourite moment of the entire movie is when Man Duke, who is like the father of the household, and he's being attacked by John B the zombie, and he's hitting him with his shovel and he's saying, "Get back, you monster, get back," and then the shovel breaks. And the funniest part for me is when Jong-gu enters his son and he flying drop kicks the zombie. It just made me laugh. It was just kind of unexpected. I just found it funny. So what we have is this scene of this old guy trying to fight off a zombie. And normally, most zombie shows would paint this as a tense scene, and try and make us feel on edge and feel for this old dude. But what happens in this movie is they play like this really upbeat, almost circus-like music in the background. And I don't know why, it just made everything 10 times funnier because it just showed how absurd the situation really was. And it was just so, such a strange contrast to have this upbeat music playing whilst this guy's trying to fight for his life. And then what happens when Jong-gu enters and drop kicks the zombie, he does it like just in time when the music makes a thud, and that's when he drop kicks the zombie, and it's brilliant. Yeah, and I think the way it uses the soundtrack is fantastic. And I'm not normally a guy who has much to say about film soundtracks and movie soundtracks in general. I normally don't notice them unless they're terrible, but I think this movie, does a great job with its soundtrack. I love the aftermath of this scene as well, because the zombie ends up getting impaled on the wall, and obviously the characters don't know that it's a zombie. They think it's a person, so they're thinking they've killed this person, and man just turns to John and he's like, why did you flying kick him? What are you doing? And it just made me laugh, and it becomes this running joke in the movie that John Gall just flying kicks his way out of trouble all the time. He does it 2 or 3 times, and by the 3rd time I was thinking, you know what, he's going to do a flying kick now, and he does. And I like that. I like the way the jokes were set up over the course of the movie. Anyway, unfortunately, Man Duke does end up getting bitten by the zombie John B. And it's at this point that his other son, Min Gul, I believe he's called, he goes on the internet and decides to do some research into zombie viruses. And that's when he creates his zombie survival handbook, which he writes himself. So because at this point the family have done their research on zombies, they expect that Man is going to die and he's going to turn into a zombie. But that doesn't happen because for whatever reason he's immune. But that doesn't stop his son, Min Gul, trying to kill him at every instance. And again, this makes for some great jokes, He's just watching him dancing and he's like, yeah, the zombie virus is taking over his brain and he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, I like that. I like that around every corner, he's there waiting to kill his dad because he thinks he's a zombie still. This movie has some really great jokes in it, and I don't want to spoil all of them because that's part of the fun of watching this movie. But a couple of my favourite jokes include later on in the movie when the characters are looking at Min Gul's zombie survival handbook, and they find a page in the handbook which details how to make armour, and they make their armour by strapping pots and pans to their heads because obviously that's all they have lying around. And I just thought that was funny because the armour looked really cool in the book, your typical body armour. And here they are wearing coats and pots and pans. But, any protection against the zombie has got to be better than none, right? I mean, there's a scene where one of the zombie claws at the lady's coat and all the feathers and stuff come out. So obviously the coat did end up protecting her. So, it does actually make sense. And, it's something that I've always found weird in zombie shows and films is that people just walk around, Daryl's walking around with a fucking vest on, It's like, if that was me, I'd be geared up all the time. I'd wear a fucking pot on my head, to protect me. I would, So, yeah, I like that scene. And there's also a scene later on where Min Gul appears and he appears to try and save the day, and it just doesn't go well, and I like that as well. So after recovering from his zombie bite, which includes your typical symptoms such as fever, Man Duke appears rejuvenated and full of life, and he actually appears physically younger. And his fellow old age pensioners notice this because they watch him have a piss. And at first I watched this scene and I was like, what is going on? It's like a scene of him pissing and it just goes on for ages of him having a wee, and all these men are crowded in. There's even a dude who's watching it through the window, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But then later on when he leaves, one of the other old guys says, oh, you piss like a young man, how do you do this? And they all notice that he's young because he looks young in the face, but also because he has a constant flow of piss, because they notice his piss stream, which for me I was just like, okay, whatever. I guess I've got that to look forward to when I'm older, not being able to piss. I can't wait for that. But yeah, that just made me laugh because it was so bizarre. I was like, what the hell is going on? And then when the guy said it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is weird. But it did make me chuckle. So everyone in the village wants to know how he got young. And Man, being the salesman that he is, decides to sell zombie bites to people. So he has this system where people put their arm through the garage, put their arm through the wall, and he gets the zombie to bite their arm to infect them and make them younger again. And it's important to note at this point in the movie, John B the zombie, they've removed his teeth, so he's not a danger. So what we have is a situation where old men are queuing up to get a bite on their arm by a zombie that has false teeth in his mouth. And it's just such a bizarre situation. But again, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was hilarious. I do think they could have done a bit more with the false teeth situation though, because Man Duke notices one of his old friends has false teeth. I think his friend's called Mr. Snail, and he's like, Snail, because he sees his false teeth. And in the next scene, we see the zombie with the false teeth in his mouth, and he, carries on getting him to bite people. I think there's more they could have done, with it. I think they could have shown a scene of them trying to force these false teeth in the zombie mouth, or one of the old age pensioners pulls out his arm and his arm has the false teeth, the set of false teeth in it. I think there was more jokes they could have done with that. The zombie biting business turns out to be a huge success, and there are people queuing up miles to get their bite from the zombie to make them feel younger again and to de-age their skin and whatever it does. But it turns out that obviously having thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people being bitten by a zombie is not a good idea, because just because Man Duke is immune doesn't mean that everyone else is. In defense of the characters, I don't think they know that. I think that because their father is immune, they just assume that everyone else will be, and everyone else is going to get the same symptoms as him, and feel younger, and that'll be it. Everything's great. They don't expect everyone's going to turn into zombies. It's around the 1 hour and 10 minute mark into this 2 hour film that things go to shit and the zombie outbreak happens proper. And my major complaint with this film is that when the film kind of turns into action mode, goes full out and the zombie outbreak happens, happens, it just isn't as funny as it is in the first half. I mean, it's still enjoyable to watch because at this point in time, I already grew to like the characters, so I already wanted everyone to survive, and I wanted to see the end of the story, I wanted to see where it went, but it just isn't that funny as to, compared to when the characters are first encountering John B. the zombie. But I will say that I loved the way it ended. I loved the ending to this film. I don't want to spoil it, but the ending is just so upbeat, and yeah, I loved it. I loved how it ended. Even though this film wasn't making me laugh for the entirety of its 2-hour runtime, I did have a smile on my face for most of the movie because the characters are just so damn likable. I mean, the two Ghoul brothers, I mean, they're great. Their dad, Man, he's hilarious, and it is kind of annoying that he disappears for half the movie, but I do like the idea that he returns at the end and he doesn't know what he's caused. He returns from holiday and then he finds that his town, his village has gone to shit because of what he's done. I mean, this film even makes me care about John B. the zombie. Again, it's something that I don't want to spoil too much, but what this film does with his character is actually fantastic. It's the first time I've ever cared about a zombie. Like, I love this guy. So yeah, the characters are really likable. You've got the mum as well, who is just like crazy. She just wants to hit everyone with a frying pan. She's scary as shit, but she's definitely someone I'd want on my side in the zombie apocalypse. Sorry, she's not the mum. She's one of Man's son's wives. But yeah, she's a great character as well. There's also even a couple of Walking Dead references in this film, which is pretty cool. I will say that I do think this film airs on being a bit too long though, because kind of 2 hours for a zombie comedy film is quite a long run length. I mean, Zombieland in comparison is 88 minutes long, and as a result I do think that this film kind of lags in the middle a bit. But overall I'd say this is a good film. It's an enjoyable film. I really liked it. I mean, yes, I think the second half is weaker than the first, but overall it's just a really joyous, upbeat, silly zombie film that I think has some great jokes in it, and I really liked it. I would absolutely recommend Zombie for Sale, especially if you like Shaun of the Dead, that kind of stuff, because people have said it's the Korean Shaun of the Dead. I mean, I haven't seen Shaun of the Dead for years, but it's the same premise. It's like a zombie spoof, a zombie comedy, and I think it does a really good job of it. I think it's a damn fine movie, so I hope you'll watch it. So let me know your thoughts below. Have you seen this movie? Did you like this video? I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, let me know if you're going to, and also let me know in the comments below if there's any kind of weird zombie movies, or it doesn't have to be weird, any mainstream zombie movies you want me to cover in the future, because I will be carrying this on for as long as I can. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you like this new series, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care. Goodbye.